What's up, family? It's your boy Jay Floyd, aka Big Bro. Yo, I just wanted to welcome everybody back into the family room real quick, chop it up about a topic. I know you probably saw the title of this video, and this is not going to be your typical react video. I know I see a lot of videos that float around social media where they're just reacting, to something going on, trying to make you laugh or something. But I really want to touch on this topic because it's something that means a lot to me, and I think I got a few words that can people will be able to relate to, man. And like you see in the title, man, what I really want to talk about, man, is fathers, hug your sons, man. Hug your sons. I know there's been a lot of talk about it because of the video the picture that got floated around with my man Smokie Norful and his son. His son laying on him and laying with him, and him, showing love to his son in that way. There's a lot of division, a lot of divisiveness, a lot of people saying that's not right. It ain't what you should do to sons. So I want to touch on it for a minute, man. I got full disclosure, man. I'm gonna come from a different angle because my take on this kind of stuff is usually a little different because I have 3 children. So I've witnessed the beginning of life firsthand, and I've also witnessed the end of life firsthand. So that really informs a lot of my feeling on this whole topic, right? And I'm gonna start with a little quick story. I know I usually do the housekeeping, visit my sponsors. Y'all know what it is, man. We really want to chop it up about something serious, so I'm just gonna go into it though. 1992, June 7th, 1992. My brother was murdered, my only brother, right? So we wrestled, we fought a lot in life, 4 years apart, 3.5 years apart. Just me and him growing up in the house with a single mom, we had a contentious relationship. My brother dies, right? He gets killed. He gets shot and dies, right? My mom, myself, we are at the hospital. They rush us into a room where his body is laying there and we have to identify him. So they're asking us to walk in and identify him. And I remember right in that moment, it was so deep for me and my mom. It was so many emotions that we couldn't even understand. Our minds are just like flooded and just drowned in trying to understand everything that's going on. But I remember my mom, she touched him and she reached down and she kissed him on the forehead. And she looked up at me and she was like, touch him. And she said, kiss him on the forehead. And so me and my brother, we didn't have that kind of relationship. You know what I'm saying? We typical kids growing up in the 80s and 90s. We wasn't kissing each other to say we miss each other and stuff like that. It wasn't going down like that. But right in that moment, she said to do that. And I hesitated for probably like half a second. And then I did it, right? I did it. And I remember she looked at me and it just kind of sealed a moment, right? There was no words. It was nothing. We just continued to go through and proceed through our grieving and our journey and our ups and downs and rocky and struggle and victory, all of that, right? So that's one story I want to put out there. Secondly, my father, like I said, my brother and I, we were raised by my mom by herself. She had full custody of us after a bitter divorce from my father. So, my dad, he was around, he's in the city, but we didn't really see him a whole lot because, my mom was going at it, right? She was fiery, she was fierce, she was being petty, she was making some mistakes in parenting. She did some things to keep us away from him. My relationship with him didn't really spark the way I wish it would have, right? But I knew him, I saw him on holidays and birthdays and graduations and stuff like that, and it was always cordial, it was always good. And as I got older, and finally got into my adulthood, my mom passed away. Finally got a relationship with my dad, and we really built and we really bonded. I got to understand that dude and get to know who he was. And he would come visit me every weekend, every Sunday. He would come over and tell me these stories, and I really got to see how much like him I was. It was like one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, right? And my dad was older than me. He's 50 years older than me, right? So he gets up into his 80s, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he passes away, right? I get called to the hospital. Right before he passed away, I get to see him, talk to him, tell him I love him, and then he passes away right in front of me, right? So right in that moment, again, here I am with this cloud over me of emotion I'm trying to cut through. And I look down at him. He's laying in this hospital bed. I look down at him, and the first feeling that rushed over me was I wanted him to hold me. I wanted to be near him. And I laid my head down on the pillow, on the hospital bed pillow next to him. You know, the doctors all standing there. I laid my head down. They gave me that moment. They let me do it. And I swear, right in that moment, man, it felt so good. It felt so good. It was something I didn't even know I needed. I wasn't aware that I needed it until right in that moment when it was just too late to really get it. Right? And that's one of the things I want to talk about today. This notion of, you know, the way society has gone. It's really, you really can't point no fingers. This is just the fact of what it is. Right? Society has told, especially American society has told men, especially black men, that we're not supposed to touch each other. You know, my whole life, my father shook my hand. The only time I can remember getting a hug from my dad was at my brother's funeral. Other than that, he would shake my hand, shake my hand, shake my hand. I never got a chance to really just have him hold me and show me that he loved me and show me that kind of affection. And that's not to point the finger at him. That's to point the finger at the circumstance of things that are true, but we can change them. They don't have to be that way, right? So when I look at things like this, you know, I see a lot of comments of people saying, nah, man, nah, that's too much. Maybe a hug, but not. This is what I would ask, man. I'm not even gonna try to make this contentious like it's a y'all against my thought. This is all of us trying to grow, and that's what this show is all about, man. Posing some questions, talking about it, and trying to see maybe we can challenge ourselves to grow. Is this a moment where I can grow? Is it a moment where y'all can grow? Y'all tell me, comment down below and tell me, right? When we think about what's the reason why it's wrong for him to hold his son like that. Okay, I get it. His son's a teenager. Okay, so what makes that wrong? It's still his son. He's still the person that God put in control of his life to give him the environment to grow, right? And one of the things that humans need to grow is physical affection. So we need it, right? Male or female. And one of the things I want to talk about, man, I want to just challenge cats with this. One of the things I'm going to be doing is challenging us, man, because so much of what we're looking at, you know, because of the things that I've seen, and a lot of y'all have seen similar things. I know now, like when my mom told me, kiss your brother, she knew that was the last moment I was ever going to see him on this earth, ever, period, right? So she knew the importance of it, and she knew the intimacy of that moment to kiss your brother. She knew it, you know, whether the Holy Spirit moved her to know it or whatever, she knew in that moment how powerful that is. There's some things that override the things that we're looking at here every day in life, right? Like we got all these, you got man codes, you got society codes, you got history, you got baggage from previous generations, you got homophobia, you got all of that stuff thrown in. But what really matters, man, is these things are eternal. They're bigger than the things that's in front of us. And you know what the things that's in front of us equate to? Bullshit. Bullshit. That's what they really are. You know, when you look at it in the right perspective, there's things that's way more big, impactful, and eternal than these nonsense rules that we got, right? So even if we start to break apart some of these rules, man, like I've seen some dudes will be like, hey, that's too much for my son. For my daughter, yeah, but for my son, no. Okay, well, let me challenge that to ask you why though? Why would it be okay for your female child, but not for your male child? If the issue is you don't want it to be nothing sexual, then why would you do it to your daughter? You know what I'm saying? If the problem is sexuality, we shouldn't do it with any of our children, right? So maybe we just need to start redefining lines of, all right, there's some things that's appropriate for children, some things that's not. Male or female, period. Some things you do to your children, some things you don't because they're inappropriate. But hugging them, holding them, showing them physical affection should not be one of them things. And that'll lead us into, which is a whole nother show, of maybe fathers have to start asking themselves questions on why we allow certain things for our daughters, as opposed to why we don't do it for our sons. You know, that leads us to another question. You know, so I really want us to really think about this stuff, man, because there's way too many times we end up behind the 8 ball, you know, and as a life coach, as a mentor, I done been working with clients and have them break down in tears. I done been at church praying for people, grown men, and having them wanting me to hold them as they breaking down in tears about the things they done going through in their life. Grown men. And you mean to tell me your teenage son don't need to be held by his father, his God model? You don't need that? Grown men. How many times we all have been through something in our life and we on our knees crying out to God, our Father, hoping that he could hold us, comfort us, heal us. You mean to tell me a teenager in this cold world don't need that? Think about it. I ain't pointing fingers. I'm saying we got to think about these things because we have all the tools that we need to help each other heal. Yeah, so this for all my bros out there, man. If you got a son, hug your son, man. Hold your son. Tell him you love him. Give him some physical affection. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Because trust and believe me, I've seen it. If you don't, another man will at some point. Another man will, whether it's a pastor, a therapist, a counselor, or just a brother, somebody else, or another father figure, somebody will. And let's hope that it's not when he's lying there in his last moments. That's what I'm talking about. Let's heal each other, man. It's that serious. It's that real. It's bigger than the bullshit we look at. We can't see the forest because we're too busy looking at the trees, man. Yo, it's Jay Floyd, man. Big bro. Holla at your boy, man. I love y'all. Thanks for joining me. One.